Well, here we are at Secret World, which is a specialist centre for the rescue and rehabilitation of badgers, and there's been quite a lot of media interest today in a story where we believe a farmer has been identified as bringing a badger to a barbecue, handing the badger over to someone to handle it, bit them. It's become a sort of sensationalist story in the press. Badger bites person at barbecue. It's in the Sun, it's in the Metro and other national newspapers. But I think what we're concerned about is how that badger was handled. Why did someone actually get hold of that animal and bring it into a situation where it was in contact with the public? Badgers are not cuddly animals, they're wild animals, they're beautiful to look at, but they're not to be played with, they're not to be handled by someone who doesn't really know what they're doing. And they can obviously inflict wounds, they have very strong jaws and very strong claws. So I just thought I'd sort of talk to Pauline really about what your views on it.
Yeah, people don't understand that their whole lives is sense of smell. So as soon as you take them somewhere strange, give it to somebody else, that animal will immediately be really worried or frightened or terrified, literally. So obviously it's a natural thing for it to be bitten. I've done badgers since 1989 and I have never been bitten by a badger. It's the way that you treat them, but to take them anywhere in the public, they're going to be terrified, and just like anybody else, you know, even humans, if you're frightened and you're worried, you'll be bite.
Yeah, and it concerns us because we saw a story in the Sun yesterday as well, and they're running this badger biting story today, but yesterday they ran a story to really say that there were lots of animals in Britain that were potentially dangerous to the public. They were mentioning sharks, they were mentioning birds of prey, and they had badgers. They had a picture of a badger with sort of vicious looking teeth, like a Tasmanian devil.
Absolutely.
And then they basically had a small section in the article talking about the dangers of badgers. They said that there was a case of badgers on the rampage in the West Country, and they'd savage 2 or 3 people and chase them up the road, and that if you get cornered by a badger, potentially it could be dangerous, it could go for your neck. And they actually talk in the article of stamping on the animal to sort of defend yourself. It's absolutely appalling.
Yes.
But it's read by millions of people, and it demonises the animal. So what's your view on something like that?
I think it's awful. I think it's people really sort of, as you say, demonising an animal that doesn't deserve it, because badgers actually are the quietest and easiest to handle of all the animals that we have here at Secret World, to be perfectly honest. But I just don't understand why they're so maligned. You know, people say that they're vicious and they say that they're dirty and they carry germs, and really they're no different than any other animal, human or otherwise. You know, we all carry germs, we all have things about us, we will all bite if we're frightened, and to just make a big thing out of it like that is just ridiculous.
I suppose it makes your work here all the more important, isn't it, with children, adults coming so they can learn about the animals, how they live in the wild, how you rescue, rehabilitate them here when they're brought in injured and things like that. Really giving them the real facts of the animal and its behaviour.
Absolutely. And people don't, unfortunately most people see a badger on the side of the road, so they're going to really believe, and unfortunately people do, think that if they read it in the paper it is true. And it isn't. It's these things that are just made up to sensationalise the story, which is obviously what's happened with this badger that's bitten somebody. But, you know, for God's sake, who should be taking an animal to a barbecue? I wouldn't even take a cat or a dog, let alone take a wild animal. It's ridiculous.
And to clarify for our viewers, badgers are protected under the law.
Absolutely.
You can't just go and get yourself a badger, move it, take it to some public space and play around with it.
No, the only reason you have them is for welfare situation. It means that they're either disabled through injuries or the fact that they're orphaned and they're not able to look after themselves. But otherwise, if you touch and pick up a badger, then you are breaking the law.
And if people ring you here and say, listen, I've come across a badger in my garage, or an injured badger, what advice do you give them?
It really depends. It's a hard one, Dominic, because it changes, you know, according to weather and all these sorts of things as well. But as much as possible, we would deal with it ourselves. And obviously, you know, there's a network of badger groups all over the country, so that, you know, we can get in touch with people that are nearest to them, and they have the expertise to go and deal with it. No, you shouldn't deal with an adult badger because, as I say, they have got teeth. But the only reason that they would ever bite is because they're frightened. And to be quite honest, I've never, in all our rescues, ever been bitten by a badger, nor have any of our carers.
It's probably fair to say we do far more harm to badgers than they can